It would also restore up to $5 billion of American taxpayer funds for wasteful spending for international projects. Here's a couple of examples. This is in their legislation, their counterproposal on the CR to keep the lights open. This is what they want to do. They want to spend $24.6 million of your hard-earned dollars as a taxpayer for climate resilience in Honduras. They want to spend $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe. They want to send $3.9 million for LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Western Balkans. They want to spend $2.9 million of your dollars for desert locust risk reduction in the Horn of Africa. And $2 million for, quote, organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. We are not doing that. These are unserious proposals from unserious people, and they are playing games while real Americans are being harmed adversely by the shutdown.
Oh, man. Doesn't that just make you angry? Why in the world are we do Democrats want to send money over to Africa for locusts, whatever research? But, what? My goodness. And people will still line up to vote for these folks. And I ain't saying that Republicans are 1,000% perfect, because they're not. But it's nowhere near the level that these Democrats are doing this nonsense. You know, that is just absolutely crazy, absolutely bonkers. But I want to talk about this a little bit more, because this shutdown is actually kind of backfiring on the Democrat Party. And it's backfiring because it was going to be a win-win for Trump either way. Either you keep the government open and it continues to run, which is a win for Trump, right? Or you shut it down and you make Trump basically federal workers' boss, to which he can fire them after, I believe it is 61 days. Hey, have it your way, huh? Let's dive in.
Trump just turned the government shutdown into a weapon. Democrats didn't even see it coming. For years, shutdowns meant the same thing: panic, furloughs, and promises of back pay once everybody kissed and made up in D.C. But this time, Trump's not waiting around. His team says federal layoffs have already started. Real reduction in force notices, not just furloughs. And here's why that matters. Democrats, they're holding the line, demanding an Obamacare extension in December before they'll negotiate. Trump's response? Fine. You want the government shutdown? I'll use the shutdown. He's cutting payroll, shrinking agencies, and calling it budget discipline. That's not just policy, that's pressure. Think about it. Every other president treated shutdowns like a hostage crisis. Trump's treating it like an opportunity. He's betting the public will side with cutting bureaucracy over caving to Congress. So yeah, the layoffs are real, and so is this message. If Washington won't make a deal, he'll start trimming the fat himself. He's betting the public will back him. You think he's right? Follow for more straight talk, and let's hear your comments.
I think he's 1,000% right. I think he's 100% correct in his assumption, because we want to stop seeing our tax dollars get wasted. We want to, honestly, I don't think we should be getting taxed, period. But that's just my humble opinion, and I know certain things have to get paid for, blah, blah, blah. I think we can cover a lot of those expenses via tariffs. And if you think about when you actually go through some of these bills that are, I think it's intentional, you know, when they make these bills extremely, extremely thick, so that us regular folks never sit down, as well as some you know, folks in Congress never sit down and read them. I think that's intentional. But if you were to ever sit down and actually read these bills and look at where our money is actually going, I think every single American across the board, no exceptions, even raving lunatic liberals, would be pissed off. Would be absolutely pissed off seeing our tax dollars go to studying locusts in Western Africa and feminist democracy in Egypt, and, you know, just random BS stuff. I think everybody would be pissed off across the board. And so if we eliminate virtually all of that, I mean, Maybe we couldn't get to no taxes, but we could get to barely any taxes. But I know that's dreaming a little too much right there. But I want to play this video also for you guys, and it's quite interesting. Your jaw's going to drop listening to this one, so check it out.
President Trump is permanently eliminating many of these non-essential positions as part of a reduction in force, or RIF. So here are some of my suggestions for getting rid of the riffraff with a RIF. First up, eliminate the positions of federal employees and contractors who weren't even working before the government shutdown. While millions of Americans have 2 or more jobs to make ends meet, these federal employees aren't working at all. There are dozens of national laboratory employees with nothing to do who spend the workday catnapping or playing cards and games. To pass time, one of them started journaling. One of his entries reads, quote, "Did nothing all day today, over 10 hours in here." The following day he wrote, quote, "I do hope to play another good game of chess." They're not the only ones with nothing to do. A Department of Energy contractor actually filed a complaint that he was getting paid for work he wasn't doing. So good on him, at least he's honest. For years, he and his co-workers have been spending their time looking for things to do, watching Netflix and taking naps. He says he is, quote, "begging for work," adding, "I can't believe I'm getting paid to do nothing." If federal employees can't even justify their own salary, how can anyone else? I've also uncovered bureaucrats who are holding several different government jobs simultaneously, but aren't doing any of them. For example, a full-time HUD employee was being paid for 2 other full-time, got this, folks? Okay, she was being paid for 2 other full-time government contractor jobs. So that's 3 full-time jobs in total. She frequently billed taxpayers for working more than 24 hours in a single day. Gosh, if I could find more than 24 hours in a day, that would be pretty extraordinary. But this woman was paid $225,000 for hours she never worked in nearly 3 years. 3 full-time jobs, people, not working any of them. This isn't an isolated case either. I've introduced my Double Dippers Act to cross-check paychecks and payrolls to identify and stop bureaucrats from double billing taxpayers for work they're not even doing. Okay, don't laugh. This is true here. There are plenty of other non-essential jobs that can be eliminated immediately, beginning with the multitude of gimmicky government mascots. I'm not talking about Smokey the Bear, okay, not talking about Smokey the Bear, but rather the other costume characters you've probably never even heard of, like the National Park Service's Lupe the Ringtail, who is so frightening that Lupe makes children cry. Owlie Skywarn. Oh, I'm sure you've all heard of Owlie Skywarn with the National Weather Service. Another Park Service mascot, Riley the Roadrunner. Puddles the Blue Goose with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And everybody's favorite, Franklin the Fair Market Fox from HUD. I say let's furlough these fur balls forever. Tax dollars should never be spent paying for any of these do-nothing jobs, especially when there are severe staffing shortages for critical jobs like air traffic controllers and VA health care providers. The folks who are working these important jobs are too often overworked, understaffed, and underappreciated. So these folks can go. I commend all of those essential workers who are doing the jobs that we need done on a daily basis. They continue to answer the call of duty during the Schumer shutdown without knowing when they may receive their next paycheck. Thank you for putting your country first, and on behalf of my fellow Iowans, I also would like to extend from them a very hearty thank you.
Yeah, I told you. You are going to be shocked listening to that. We are paying for mascots. Yeah, our tax dollars are paying for that. We are also paying some federal employees to work jobs that they aren't even actually working. Ain't that wild? Absolutely wild stuff. Paying these folks to sit around and watch Netflix and take naps. It's crazy. Crazy how much of our money is just pissed down the drain. It's crazy. Absolutely wild stuff, man. And you know, Democrats just want to keep taxing us even more. Zohran Mamdani in New York, who's probably going to be the next mayor of New York City unless Curtis Lewa drops out of the race, which he ain't dropped out at this point, so I doubt that he will. I think he should have dropped out a long time ago, so we could have got a 1v1 Cuomo versus Mamdani, and I think Cuomo could have pulled it out. But as it looks right now, Mamdani's going to win, and he wants to raise taxes even more than they already are, to the tune of 52%. No, you heard me correctly. 52%. You could make $1 million in a year, but take home less than $500,000. You bust your butt to make $1 million, but you take it home less than half. Now that is absolutely crazy. That is positively insane, and it's the same thing from Democrat politicians in Washington, D.C. It's the same thing. Same thing. Wasted money. And you see it in all of these Democrat-run cities. Spend until you're in a massive deficit, and then you tax your citizens even more. You raise the property taxes, right? You tax the citizens even more than they're already being taxed because you couldn't manage a budget properly. It's crazy stuff, man. Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about all of this. Were you aware of all of this wasteful spending? Let me know. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.